Thank you. My name is Dorothy Larson, Larson & Associates CPAs, and I am pleased to introduce Linda Johnson from Philomena's, who has provided the fabulous food here this morning.
Good morning. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the Chamber for having us and letting us have this opportunity to have you sample some of our food. I just want to give you a real quick overview of our company. Most of you might know me. I am really good friends with Tricia Moore because I've been in real estate here for over 15 years. I'm Linda English. Recently got married. I'm now Linda Johnson. Never have that Italian connection again. Philomena is actually my grandmother, and my daughter is back there, so it would be her great-grandmother. She passed away about 10 years ago from Alzheimer's, and before that she raised me. So this is really paying it forward to her. About the company, I'm very proud of what we've accomplished. We've been open 16 months, and in 16 months we are number 8 on the best top 10 Italian restaurants in all of Orange County. Thank you. I'm blown away. I'm on a list with an Iron Chef. I'm on the list with Mario Batali's restaurant. I'm on a list with Pelican Hill and many, many other phenomenal restaurants in this area. I'm also the only woman who's ever been asked and has done the SOS 12 Celebrity Dinner this past November, and I've been asked back for next year. So for women, yay. We are located on the corner of San Isabel and Newport Boulevard in Costa Mesa, and we are right now in negotiations to open a second spot in Laguna Niguel. And that will also have an Italian market in it, so you can come down and get everything that we sell right in the market. My suggestion is, if you are coming in because of all the publicity, please call us for a reservation. It kills me to turn anybody away because we don't have room, so please do call, especially on the weekends. Everything's made homemade. The only thing I don't make is our sausage. Everything else we do make in-house, including some of our pastas. So come on in, check us out, and thank you for having us here today. We are closed Mondays. We're open Tuesday through Friday from 11:30 to 9:30 at night. We don't close. And Saturday and Sunday we open at 4:30. Yes?
Is the sausage from Sabatino?
No. I'm from the East Coast. It's just a different taste. My sausage is from a company called Fontanini. It's out of New York. It's an amazing, amazing sausage. You'll really like it. Our number one seller is our pepperdelli bolognese, and it's an authentic Italian bolognese. There's no tomato sauce in it. There's a little bit of tomato paste for a concentrated tomato flavor, but it's made with red wine. And the pepperdelli we make in-house. It's very good. Number one seller, that and our lasagna. So I'm excited to see everybody there. It's very Italian. I'm 100% Italian. Half Calabrese, half Abruzzo. So come, you can't tell. Don't look at the color of the hair. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And I hope that everyone got some of the food. It's fabulous. So next I would like to bring up Steve Rosansky, the president of the Chamber of Commerce. He's got a few introductions.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wake Up Newport. We've got a great program to kick off the new year for you. But before we do that, I always like to introduce some of our VIP guests here this morning. So I'm proud to introduce our new mayor. Mayor Ed Selich is here with us. Also our new mayor pro tem, Diane Dixon. And our new council member, Scott Piotr. Scott used to have a role as what was your liaison, right? You're a liaison for Alan Mansour, and so now he's jumped in and now he's the elected. So thanks for coming, Scott. We also have former mayor with us, Rush Hill. We have a couple of harbor commissioners this morning, Duncan McIntosh and Joe Stapleton. Joe also doubles as the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. We have with us Newport Beach Public Information Officer Tara Finnegan. Tara said, "Oh, I'm good friends with Carolyn. I got to show up for this one." So she specifically came to see you, Carolyn. Community Development Director Kim Brandt is with us. And last but not least, Irvine Ranch Water District member of the board, Pierce Swan. are you like the director there, or what's your title there, Pierre?
I'm just a director.
Director on the board. And thank you all for coming. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Dorothy. She's going to introduce our speaker. I'll have a few comments just at the very end. We hope to get you out of here by 8:30 and enjoy the program. Thank you.
Good morning again. I'm really honored to introduce our speaker this morning. I met her actually several years ago when she was the mayor of Orange, and I felt compelled to tell her about the fact that I was traveling in Heidelberg, Germany, and one of the women I was traveling with said that that Heidelberg was now her second favorite city in the world, the first favorite being Orange. And of course I had to contest that with Newport Beach, but in any case, Carolyn has served as an elected official approximately 12 years, having served 6 years as the mayor of Orange, as I said, and she's received many awards, Woman of the Year from just about every organization, according to the bio I have. And one of the things that is she's now the president of the Orange County Taxpayers Association, and I really appreciate a stated goal that government can and should keep taxes fair, understandable, cost-effective, and good for business. Well, I teach tax, and I can promise you they're not understandable to most people. So with that, I would really like to introduce Carolyn Kavecki, the president of the Orange County Taxpayers Association. Thank you.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here today. I'd like to introduce Megan Rodriguez, who is also with the Orange County Taxpayers Association. She's a Newport Beach resident, so she didn't have very far to come today. It's also good to see Tara from the city of Orange. Tara was my PIO from Newport Beach. She just came out Orange because Tara was my PIO in the city of Orange when I was first elected mayor, and I loved working with her, and Newport Beach stole her. I wasn't really happy with that. I first just want to explain, I am not a CPA, I am not a tax attorney, so I don't have an expertise on that. I love public policy. My years at the City of Orange really helped develop that love for public policy. I'm one of those few people who still believe that public service is an honorable profession. Not a lot of people think that anymore, but I do. So I'd like to congratulate the newly elected council members. Scott and I have known each other for years. Diane, congratulations. Again, I loved serving the city of Orange, and although when we first moved to California, I was a Corona Del Mar resident when I was 6, so we have a little bit of connection here. I'm going to talk about a bunch of different things, and I don't have a watch on, so someone just needs to throw something at me when you want me to stop talking, Steve, because you know I will just keep going. But I do want to explain a little bit about OC tax if you haven't heard, and then we'll go into kind of what's happening at the state level, and then I want to talk about Prop 13. I'm going to be jumping a little bit between those topics. So, the Orange County Taxpayers Association was founded in the 1980s by a group of businessmen and individual taxpayers. We are the only county-wide organization whose exclusive focus is to represent individual taxpayers and businesses on tax spending policies, and our mission definitely is that we believe taxes should be fair, understandable, cost-effective, and good for the economy, and that truly is a hard measure to reach, but that's what we believe. We have a board of directors, and it's a lot of different organizations. You can see these are just some of the businesses that I work with on our board of directors, all the way from the largest employer in the county to the largest landowner in the county. So you can see I deal with some great business organizations in Orange County, as well as, since I came on 2 years ago, one of my goals has been to really try to reach out to individual taxpayers as well. So that's who we deal with. All right, I'm going to start a little bit with the 2014 election. When the election happened in November, we went out and did a lot of post-election wrap-ups to a lot of different organizations, and I still have this slide. Horrific turnout in 2014, a historic low. And when that happens, you never know what the voters are going to do at the ballot box. And what we saw in Orange County was a slew of incumbents who were taken out of office. And so the people who turned out to vote really were showing, I think, their dissatisfaction with a lot of the governance. And again, with a historic low turnout, it is really amazing what you can see happen. So these are all of the cities, as well as our county assessor lost. So a lot of cities lost incumbents. More importantly, what we're seeing countywide, and a lot of it has to do with term limits as well, and I don't have this slide up here, but a tremendous amount of cities have almost new majorities, and I believe Newport Beach is one of them as well, where your majority is all new council members, and that is across the county. There were quite a few cities that are seeing a lot of brand new council members coming in and taking over majorities, so it's very interesting. All right. So when Steve called and asked me to do this, I said, great. One of our big things this year is because of the threats to Prop 13, and I'm going to go into that in a little more detail. I said, Megan and I are going to be on the road to a lot of organizations. And I said, what do you want me to talk about? He gave me some specifics, and the flyer came out, and the title was, Should Prop 13 Be Changed? And we just put that up on our Facebook page. We didn't really think about it. Oh my gosh. The feedback we got on our Facebook page, never change Prop 13, have you heard of seniors on fixed incomes, leave Prop 13 alone. You people should be ashamed of yourselves for thinking about changing it. Hell no, that was my favorite. No way. Never, unless everyone is prepared for senior flight, because most are on Social Security and will lose their homes. Shame on greedy people. Why would we ever support changing Prop 13? No, and hell no. We had a lot of hell no's, by the way. Leave Prop 13 alone. Stop thinking of ways to spend money. We are taxed enough. So we actually had to go on our Facebook page and say, no, we are not in support of changing Prop 13. Steve, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I know. It was actually very, it was funny in a way, and I had to go. We have a lot of Facebook people here. You're on Facebook page, yeah. I literally started every comment that said like no. I started liking it, so the person who posted it would know we're with you. So very interesting. It kind of blew up for us. So we're gonna go first. Let's talk about California at a glance, where we are with taxes. Before we go in, so you can kind of get a ground level of where we're at in case you're not aware of it. Our state sales tax, the state sales tax level, we are the highest in the country. Our gasoline tax is the second highest, and I'm going to chat with you about that in just a second. Our personal income tax is the highest. Our property tax is 19. Now, and that's with Prop 13 in place. Could you only imagine where we would be without Prop 13? Our corporate income tax is the highest in the West. Only 8 others have a higher top corporate tax rate. 24/7 Wall Street ranks California as the worst run state in the United States, and we get that every single year. Kempler Act Study ranks California as the worst state to retire in. So we're just really not doing that great. I want to just go into the gas tax just a little bit before we go into Prop 13. Are you aware of what just happened with the gas tax in the last couple of years? Not the cap and trade, but the actual gas tax. Prop 42 was put into place by Californians back in 2002, and it actually stipulated that the tax you specifically spend on gasoline would actually go to transportation use. Wow, it's a concept, huh? And it couldn't be used for other budget purposes. Well, as California started to use more fuel-efficient cars, and vehicle miles traveled is kind of a new little phrase you need to think about and remember that. They were putting less gas in their cars, and so but they were using still the same amount of traveling. So the miles were still hitting the freeways, but they were using less gasoline, so there was less money to go to it. So what the governor and the state legislature had to do is it basically did something called a fuel tax swap. There was a sales tax portion on your gas and an excise tax portion on your gas. And the governor decided, because the sales tax was specifically for transportation purposes and he couldn't use it, he decided to just get rid of it. And so what he did was he switched it, and he said, okay, if I can't use the sales tax for non-transportation uses, I'll just get rid of the sales tax. And so he switched it, and he basically raised the excise tax, got rid of the sales tax. The excise tax could be used for anything the state legislature wants. And so basically, again, repealed that Prop 42 sales tax, raised the excise tax, and then they added an index onto it that could be raised every single year to bring in more money for whatever purposes they want. Now, when you think about that, who actually is going to calculate that little index? Well, it's an organization called the California State Board of Equalization. And what the staff does is they estimate what they think the consumption of gas is going to be in the upcoming year and how much that gas might possibly cost. And then they set that index that will produce the amount of revenue equal to what they think the sales tax would have been during that time. Amazing, isn't it? And so then the BOE votes on that. Actually, it went up. We were last year the highest sales tax for gas in the nation. This last year they actually brought it down, and we bopped under New York on that as well. So that's the gas tax. So when you see it moving, I'm not even going to go into cap and trade today because we could talk about that for hours. But when you see gas tax moving, it's an organization called the Board of Equalization. Diane Harkey was just elected, our representative from Orange County up there, and they vote on moving it up and down every year based on an estimation from staff members. So that's kind of California at a glance. So we're going to talk about tax threats in 2015. There's a group of things we're going to be concentrating on, and you as businesses and taxpayers need to be looking at. The first is a lowering of the 2/3 vote threshold for bonds and parcel taxes. Huge attempt at that last year. I'll show you a little more specific on that. Prop 30 tax extensions. I'm going to go over Prop 30 a little bit, remind you what it was. And so when they try to put it on the ballot in either 16 or 18 to extend those, hopefully you remember that. Split roll property tax, that's our biggest issue at the Orange County Taxpayers Association. It's what we're going to be concentrating on, and I'm going to show you and talk about some of the organizations that are trying to get Prop 13 gone. And then a little bit about special taxes. I'm not going to go over that, but what you're going to see in the next couple of years is they're going to be doing some of the more sin taxes. The state legislature is going to be looking at putting cigarette taxes on to try to raise money for programs. Although the more people are taxed on cigarettes, the less they smoke, so the money goes down. And then they have to figure out how to do the programs. And an oil excise tax is going to be really big in the next couple of years. And that's where they're going to be taxing companies for removing oil from the ground. And that's just going to wreak havoc with our gas taxes as well. And when you add what's going on with cap and trade, potentially we can see gasoline prices going way up, which is, of course, candidly what a lot of organizations in Sacramento want. So let's talk about lowering the 2/3 threshold. These are bills from last year. One more, HC3. About 7 or 8 bills were proposed in the legislature during the last session. And these were all bills that attempted to lower the 2/3 voter threshold so that it was a smaller amount of voters were needed to raise taxes, which is really what the Democratic Party in Sacramento wants. And by the way, OC Tax is a nonpartisan organization. We're not a Republican group. We're not a Democratic Party group. We have a political action committee. We support on both sides of the aisle. Candidly, I mostly deal with Democratic legislators in Sacramento now because our goal is to get no votes on things. And that's pretty much what we're doing. So we're nonpartisan, but the Democratic Party is definitely looking to try to lower the 2/3 threshold for school district, for transportation taxes, public library taxes, community and economic development. The Hancock bill was great. It was for any local government tax, for any purpose, emergency facilities, public safety services. So we're going to see this again. None of these passed. specifically because the state Senate lost their supermajority due to several state senators being under indictment and having to resign. So we didn't have a problem with that. And the next one is Prop 30 tax extensions. Everybody remember Prop 30? I call it taxpayer-inflicted taxes. Prop 30 was passed by California voters in November of 2012. It retroactively increased personal income tax up to 3% on annual earnings. There was a 1%, a 2%, and a 3% depending on single filing and double filing, and it retroactively increased it. So if you remember, we all filled out our forms on how much taxes should be withheld, and then found out because of it, it wasn't enough. You probably, when you file your taxes, if you remember getting nailed on that. It also increased our sales tax by 0.25% for 4 years. The money for this, when this was going on, I just did whole presentations on Prop 30. About $6 billion a year is what they were looking to raise, and it was supposed to go to the schools, and a lot of the money is going to the schools. The problem is what we're finding in a lot of districts statewide is it went to salary increases versus going into the schools. And secondly, and I'm not going to go into details on this, CalSTRS is the teacher's pension fund, and it's going to be running out of money very, very quickly. It has in its entirety of when it has done, it has never collected enough money for the teachers' pension funds ever. It is literally going to be going bankrupt soon, and it is very possible that the state is talking about going into these Prop 30 dollars and using it to fund the CalSTRS retirement now. And this is after going out and selling this as for the children and for the school districts. I don't have it in here, but after this election, I did an entire presentation on voter turnout in the 2012 election and who turned out, and the youth vote was huge in November of 2012, and a lot of it had to do with the presidential race. That's what put this over the top. Prop 30 was the youth turnout as well. So look for Prop 30 tax extensions to come on your ballot in 2016 and 2018. Because they're already talking about this. The California Teachers Association, and by the way, my mom was a teacher, so I'm not anti-teacher at all. I have 3 kids, by the way, too. One of them was a UC student, graduated from a UC school, so I'm really pro-education in California. But the teachers union at the state level are the ones who are already pushing this. So you're seeing the editorials hitting already. It's SACB, San Francisco Union, Gate, Union Tribune. It's already hitting. So this will probably be on the ballot to extend this to 2016 or 2018. This is what I really want to talk to you guys about today. And this is Prop 13. All right, there is a massive effort going on, and I'll go into specific on the person and the organizations who are behind it, but there have been attempts over the years to try to get rid of Proposition 13 in the state of California. And really, it's because it's capping the property taxes coming in. And a lot of the property tax money is utilized for school districts, and I'm not going to go into specifics about how the property taxes are broken down and who gets it, because candidly, I think it's almost done in a back room someplace with people who have, I don't know, sworn to give their children over to cults. It's really an amazing thing on how it's broken down and how it is worked out. A lot of it has to do with what happened in what was going on in 1970s and the inequities of what counties get what. It really is amazing. But what a split roll tax is it would tax properties differently depending on the use, and it could go in several different ways. The first is certain properties could be consistently taxed at fair market value every year, or certain properties could just literally have be done at a different percentage. So it could be done a couple different ways. OC Tax believes it's going to be incredibly bad for the California economy, And what they're doing is pulling business and commercial properties off and taxing that at either a different percentage, so it would be not at a 1%, but it would be at a different percentage, or it would be reassessed every year at what the fair market value would be. And so that's the attempt that's going on right now. And basically, we'll talk a little bit about who's pushing it and why they're pushing it. But what they're trying to do is tell California homeowners that they're being taxed at an unfair number, and that those terrible business owners and the terrible commercial property owners are ripping homeowners off statewide, and they need to be taken to task, and they need to have their property assessed correctly. The problem with that is, when you look at the data, California homeowners are not being taxed unfairly, and in fact, business properties pay the largest share of property tax under Prop 13. And our fear, both at the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association and CalTax, which we work with very closely, as well as OC Tax, is that once you pull the business owners out, it's going to leave the homeowners very vulnerable. And it's like kind of putting the most vulnerable person off and peeling them off. Just so you know, 1979, 1980, home occupied properties were about 42% of property tax coming in, and the business and non-homeowners was about 58. 2011, 2012, homeowner occupied was at 39%, and businesses and non-homeowner occupiers were at 60%. So it just goes to show you that what they're telling you isn't true. And a lot of different organizations use a lot of different numbers, but this is what's going to be happening, and it's something that we're the most concerned about at OC Tax, and trying to educate people that we need to keep Proposition 13 exactly the way it is, because once you start changing it, homeowners are going to be taxed out of their properties. Proposition 13, and we have some handouts in the back. We put a Prop 13 fact sheet together. We've got it in the back, I think, so you can take a look at it. Proposition 13 has been incredible for the state of California. And it isn't just seniors and people who have owned their homes since the 1970s. It's young homeowners as well, too. I don't know many young couples or young homeowners who could afford a property tax with the market fluctuation, especially what goes on in California. Our market property numbers are very big shifts depending on what's going on in the economy. And if you don't know what that's going to be every year, and it is fluctuating up and down, people are going to lose their home, not just seniors, but young homeowners as well too. And as a former elected official, property tax revenue for local governments is one of the most stable forms of revenue that a city council member is ever going to see. Your sales tax may go up and down huge depending on the economy, but you don't see more than that 1 or 2% fluctuation on property taxes. So Prop 13 has been what we call a circuit breaker for local funding. It's something you can budget on every year. You know what it's going to be, and you're able to predict and fund vital services, police, fire, libraries, community services. So Proposition 13 needs to stay the way it is. And you need to understand that businesses are not taking advantage of homeowners. And when you talk about businesses, when you talk about business properties, you're talking about people, and a lot of you may lease. You may have storefronts, you may be in different areas of your city. So it's your dry cleaners, it's your restaurants who may not own the properties as well. It's beauty salons, it's doctors, it's chiropractors, it's barbershops. It's all the small businesses that if those properties are being reassessed every year based on market value, it's where you're going to see rents, you're going to see leases go up, and it's going to affect the bottom line. So don't be fooled by the numbers. We're very firm that Prop 13 needs to stay exactly as it is without any changes at all. Nuke Prop 13 literally is what we're hearing. Actually, that should be N-U-K-E. I misspelled nuke on that one. But that's actually been a phrase that's been used. We want to nuke Prop 13. Former assembly member said that. This is a quote from the recent article in Los Angeles Times. Labor groups and grassroots organizations in Los Angeles and the Bay Area have a more concrete mission to put Prop 13 changes on the ballot in 2016 or 18. Lenny Goldberg, who is the executive director of an organization called the California Taxpayer Reform Association, that's an anti-Prop 13 group, by the way, who is involved in these efforts, is hesitant to promise a date, but said the groundwork, research, organizing, polling is being laid. So this is what's going on right now in the Bay Area. There's an organization called Evolve California. That's their website if you want to take a look. I got this off the front page of their website. It is a reform Prop 13 now. What they're talking about is that the schools are drastically underfunded. That's what they're going to be talking about, is that the schools aren't being funded in California and that the schools need more money. And what they're doing is they're going out to different organizations, different cities. City of Los Angeles just passed a resolution this last year supporting changing Prop 13. And they're going to cities and their school districts and they're getting resolutions passed by organizations who want to see a ballot initiative to weaken Proposition 13. So a lot of money is going into this. The Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association, Orange County Taxpayers Association has resolutions. We're actually asking cities to pass resolutions and organizations to support Proposition 13. It's going to be very much Southern California, Riverside, San Bernardino County against Los Angeles, Bay Area County, cities and organizations. Lake Forest is just passed Tuesday night, their resolution. Our goal at OC Tax is to have every city pass a resolution in Orange County by the middle of next year. Orange has passed one, Villa Park, Anaheim, Lake Forest. So we're seeing it move. If Newport Beach would like to do it, we're more than happy to get you a sample reso if you haven't yet. So don't think that this isn't something that's happening. It is going to be the big push in the next couple of years. There was actually a bill that was working its way through Sacramento last year to put in what they called, clean up the loopholes. There aren't any loopholes in Proposition 13, but it was something that the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association actually came to support towards the end of it, and it moved its way, and we thought it was going to pass. An assembly member, Mr. Amiano, who is extremely liberal from the Bay Area, was actually pushing it. It was weird to see him partnering with Howard Jarvis. But the hope was if we can get this little small change made, they would walk away. It got all the way to the very end, and then all of a sudden, all the liberal groups dropped their support of it, and nobody could understand. But the fear was that even a small change was made, the more conservative groups could point and say, see, whatever loophole you think is there has been fixed. So they stopped it. We understand that the union organizations in Sacramento were the ones who pulled it. Mr. Goldberg also was in support of it and then pulled it. It's all going to the ballot for 2016, 2018. So take a look at that. Be sure, if you have community organizations, you'd like us to come out and talk to you about it. Our goal is to organize as many people, to inform as many people as we can that there are some changes happening in Prop 13. They're definitely going to try to do it, and look for that. You can go to our website or our Facebook page, membership meetings and events information. We also have a support Proposition 13 pledge. So it's octax.org. On Facebook, we're the Orange County Taxpayers Association. Anybody does Twitter, we're very active on Twitter. It's OCTax, ASSOC, OCTax Association is our Twitter handle. We try to provide information to individual taxpayers during the week. So articles that you may not be able to find, we kind of go out and take a look at it. So we've got articles from San Diego, from San Francisco, from Los Angeles, from Northern California. So we try to provide as much information on our Facebook and Twitter page as we can. And with that, we've got handouts in the back. And we also would love it if you're interested in becoming members of the Orange County Taxpayers Association. We have membership applications as well back there too as well. Again, all the way from large corporations down to individual taxpayers as well. And 5 minutes, I did pretty good. There was a clock back there. I tried to follow that. I know that's a lot of information and I was jumping all over the place. But should Prop 13 be changed? No. We don't believe it should be changed, and we're very much going to be working on keeping that over the next 2 years, and it is going to be a battle. So I'll be more than happy to answer any questions if I can. If not, Megan and I are going to be here afterwards as well too. So, any questions? Go.
So if they do put a proposition on the ballot, that's the majority.
2/3. Any change to Prop 13 does have to be 2/3. You're obviously, they're going to be trying to put it on a ballot with a presidential turnout because more people turn out. Less conservative voters tend to turn out when more people vote. And so I think you're going to be looking at 2016 if they're able to do it. And they're working fairly hard on that. The nice thing is that what we're finding in Sacramento is even the most liberal legislators are seeing pushback in their districts. And in fact, some of the legislators that came out were not reelected in this last election. So, but again, it was a low voter turnout, and so you have more conservatives tend to vote in a majority in a lower voter turnout. So, yeah, it would be on the ballot, but it's the education. If you think as a homeowner that the business community is ripping you off and you are being unfairly taxed compared to them, what we're seeing is even conservative voters, that seems to resonate with them. So our goal is to inform you that it is not the fact and not to listen to that. And we want to make sure homeowners are not weeded out of the pack and vulnerable, because once we're off on our own, it'll be very easy for Sacramento to change Prop 13 totally.
I realize it's quite a ways down the road, but what is your perspective on the extension of Prop 30?
We were opposed to Prop 30. We were opposed to Prop 30 when it was on the ballot, so we're opposed to the extension as well. I do think you're going to see it on the ballot in 2016 or 18 for the extension. We'll be opposed to it as well at that point. So you saw, that's why I give the data on where we are as far as where we're taxed compared to the rest of the nation. We're one of the most taxed groups of people in the United States. We don't need to keep piling on. We're going to be losing businesses. We're going to be losing people who are retiring here. I'd love my daughter and her husband to be able to afford a house in Orange County. Now I'd love them to even be able to afford a house in California and to be able to stay here, let alone in Orange County. Anything else at all?
How much has Prop 30 brought in?
About $6 billion a year.
What's their target?
So they're hitting their target as well. They are hitting, and as the economy, and I will say the economy is improving. We're hearing numbers coming out of the legislative analyst's office that we're seeing things, more money is coming in. So they're flush up there right now in Sacramento with dollars. They are flush with dollars. And we don't need the extension of it. Should there be tax reform across the board and how the money is allocated? Yes, I do believe there should be. The problem is there's always winners or losers in that, and it's very difficult to try to even it out statewide. But they're hitting their targets. I think, in fact, they're probably exceeding it. But I think over $13 billion total has been brought in.
How much went to schools?
Actually, the Proposition 30, the way it was laid out, majority went to schools, K through 12, and then community colleges. So they are correct. The dollars are flowing to the schools. What it's paying for in the school districts may not exactly be what they promised. There are some districts who are handling it correctly. You also have to remember, if the budget for schools was here and all of a sudden Prop 30 brings in this much money, they're moving dollars around to compensating. They're topping off, they're moving it. So whether 13 billion additional dollars have gone to schools, I don't know. Well, it'll be interesting to see what the state budget is proposed, but a lot of that again is going to salaries, and what they do with CalSTRS this next year. That is that has to be taken care of. CalSTRS is going to be going bankrupt very quickly, and they're going to need to come up with millions and millions of dollars to be able to prop up that pension fund. I mean, you hear about CalPERS all the time. It's nothing compared to the debacle of CalSTRS. Sacramento has just not been paying as they go for things. I can do a whole presentation on the budget. I can come back sometime and do an entire hour on the budget and how things are moved, and how they'll move a payment from June to July to save billions of dollars in the budget, and it's just a shell game a lot of times, and that's what they've been doing with CalSTRS, but they're going to have to pay for it soon. A lot of people are retiring. Anything else? Megan and I are going to be here. Diane.
Just one more question. So if the proposition change, so-called Reform People organization in Northern California is getting mobilized, what's happening with the Do Not Change Prop 13 group? Is that starting to...
Very much so. Again, we're getting out on the road. We're doing Kiwanis, we're doing Rotary groups, we're doing chamber organizations. I'm speaking to a women's group on next week as well. We're trying to inform people so when you go to vote, you're being sold a bill of goods, and we're trying to get as many city councils and potentially community college and K-12 school districts to come on and support Prop 13. So they're getting cities to pass resos saying change it. We're getting cities to pass resos saying no, it needs to be the same. And for us, it's all educating. The voter's going to make that decision.
Senior organizations.
Very much senior organizations, yeah. And I know that's a big voter block. For me, I always tell, it isn't just seniors that are taken care of by Prop 13. If you bought your house in 1978 or you bought it yesterday, you are both protected by Prop 13. Great, thank you.
Well, we know what we have to do for the next 2 years, work diligently to keep this from happening. So that's our program for today. Just a couple quick announcements. We have a few more chamber events coming up in the next month or so. Next Friday is our Christmas Boat Parade Award Dinner and Auction. It's a great event that we have every year at the Island Hotel. This year it'll be at the Island Hotel as it was last year. And we used the proceeds from that to help us pay to put the boat parade on, which I think was very successful this year. Who saw the boat parade this year? Oh, great. See, this is why we do it, just for you folks. But yeah, literally brings hundreds of thousands of people into the community, and all the restaurants are full, as you know, and it's a great thing that the organization does for the city. Also this month, we have our business lecture series. That's next Wednesday. That's going to be at the Bahia Corinthian Yacht Club. You can go onto our website and register for that. On the 22nd, I think, is our next chamber mixer, and that's going to be at Fig and Olive still. So far, it's still at Fig and Olive. They're getting a little wonky on us, but we're hoping to have it there. And then next month, our next Wake Up Newport meeting will be the first Thursday. Normally, this meeting is on the first Thursday this month. Thursday was January 1st, and too many hangovers to come out for a meeting. But we're going to have Ryan Chamberlain. He's with Caltrans, and he's going to tell us about some of the things that Caltrans is proposing, in particular with the whole, hullabaloo over the widening of the 405 freeway and the potential of toll lanes in there. So that's all. Oh, and one last thing, just a little further out, since we have our officer in the back protecting us this morning. March 12th will be our Police Appreciation Breakfast. We're going to be having that at the Hyatt, and normally last year we sold out on that, over 400 people, so if you're interested in coming to that, it's a great event. Highlights the police. We honor the officers who won awards or medals of honor for the year, so please, you can also, I believe, go on our website now and sign up for that. With that being said, that's our program. If you are not a member of Chamber of Commerce, I don't know why you wouldn't be, but if you're not yet, please see Jim in the back. He'll be happy to talk to you about Chamber membership and benefits and why you should join. And also, if you're not currently a member of the Chamber and you don't get our emails and you want to get the email, the notification of this meeting, because we have them every month, first Thursday of the month, also see Jim, give him your card or your email address. We'll make sure you get on a list so that you are notified of these meetings, even if you're, for whatever reason, not a Chamber member. Thank you. Have a good day.